Hello and welcome to another part of Pillars of Eternity Definitive Edition. Today it's part number 32, and in the last episode we went from White March for a while back to the main game and recruited all the remaining NPCs, and we ended up in the village of Dyrford, and we will probably browse through all the buildings there and find some additional quest. So let's continue right away. So we still need to check all these buildings, and as you can see, for a while this is our party. My main character is Cypher, then we have Durance, Palagina, Sagani, Hiravias, and the Grieving Mother. Let's go first into the inn. No.
Certainly.
Inn as last. Let's check everything else first.
Silence surrounds me. Now here's something.
The mill slowly grinds away at the through of grain. Winfried pleasant enough, but once you get him talking. Can't remember the last time we had a healthy birth in the village. Winfried's Arms and Armory.
I'm on the trail.
How do you do?
A portly, smiling man stands behind wooden counter, polishing a buckler. He looks up. Haven't seen you before. Always glad to see a new face in town. Company's good for business and chatter's good for the soul. That's what I always say. Anyhow, what can I do for you? What's been going on in Dyrford? Oh, we're a quite little town. Not much happens here. Especially not since the legacy hit. People realized they couldn't have babies, so and just stopped trying altogether. And that takes a lot of excitement out of that day to day, if you can believe it. Shall we? What do you have for sale? Oh. Zealous Aura Area of Effect. I think I'll buy this for Palagina. That should be it for now. Zealous command. Well, I just hope I didn't.
I'm ready.
It's Zeal focus.
I'm ready.
Oh, we'll see. And this one. Could be good. Could be good for hero, yes.
Yes? Certainly.
If secrets whisper here, I shall listen for them.
A ledger lies open on the desk. It lists purchase and sale amounts for various alchemical ingredients and concoctions.
Here.
One last building. Trigil's Career.
quiet.
I can find it in there. I never... We'll talk about this later. Get back to the dice. I'll take care of our customer. Dice fill the wooden vats. They smell of dung and plant matter. I'm not one for chit-chat, Orlan. Speak to Trigal if you've got questions. Interesting.
Hello.
A sturdy, broad-shouldered man wipes his hands on his slacks. He reeks of the same foul compound, wafting from the vats, and his arms are stained with dye. You looking to purchase some leather? Have you seen Nifra and Orland from Defiance Bay? I make it a point to keep out of other people's business. He wipes a splotch of dye from his elbow with his shirt tail. Something else you need? What's in the collapsed tower? It's collapsed. Nothing. He rolls his eyes and shrugs. Few hides on stretching racks and the tallow stench. Nangler's always grumbling about. The rest of the keep's dust just like the fool lady Taino who tried to hold it. There's a bard at the inn who will tell you just whole blazing story if you want to hear it. Rumble mentioned something about an ogre. He's hardly talked about anything else since those pics of his went missing. The whole town been worried about that monster. People are starting to see shapes in their windows at night, hearing it growl and the snoring of their mates. It would put a lot of minds at ease if someone got rid of it. He scrapes a red pigment under his fingernails. I sometimes venture into the wilderness, collecting ingredients for my dyes, mind you. I've seen track east of here, near the river. That couldn't have been anything else. Show me what you have for sale. Trigil told me that the ogre most likely resides near the Bale River, east of Dyrford village. Let's give it yourself.
Yes?
We'll go there at a later time. Probably during night. Stayed out of my private quarters. That goes for you, Heron's bootlickers. Interesting.
Yes?
With the cat's nose, how is it you failed to notice your rotten stench?
Failed to notice? Hardly. I put work into smelling this way.
I should have expected.
I never know what sort of game is downwind. I need to smell like part of nature, not an interloper.
So finally, time to get into the Drakugan Inn.
Silence surrounds me.
At least we're not under some tyrant like those poor sots in Gilded Vale. This table has been scarred and stained from decades of use.
I just want to find her. Surely even you can understand that.
We're decent folk, my lord. Perhaps you should leave and check the wilds.
Back to the portrait. The portrait depicts a man and a woman dressed in either garb that would have been in style a century ago. The heavy frame has been battered and the plate that once bore the patron's name has been scratched out. They share a passionate embrace which seems at odds with the disgust on their faces. An old acquaintance from the catacombs in the Copper Lane. Why, it's you. Thank you, friend. You've given me another chance, and I mean to make the most of it. I've been telling everyone around here about how you helped me. Thank you again. Dyrford may be a quiet place, but I find that's growing on me.
How do you do?
A redhead stands by the fire, turning her lute and plucking its strings. She hums snatches of a melody as she goes. First time at the drag again? Normally I'd have a song ready, but I haven't quite worked out this tune yet. I'm writing some chants about the founding of this inn. Say, you're interested in the story? I haven't finished the chants, but I could tell you about it all the same. Sure, let's have it. Polygonal rolls her golden eyes and exhales for an excessively long time through her nose. It was built in the time of Hadred's rebellion, and Edir and Lady Tainu once had a keep here. One of the towers still stands, but the rest is said to be buried under the village. Anyway, she stuck to the side of the Empire, and a contingent of Duke's Hadred's knights of the Crucible helped the farmers and colonists in the area turn her keep to rubble. This inn was the first building that sprang up from the ruin, built with some of the same bricks the colonists have pulled from the Lady Tainu's castle, they say. Supposedly, the quarterstaff of her chief wizard even got lost in the construction, mortared into a well or nailed under a floorboard. Anyway, the inn was supposed to be a haven and a meeting place while the locals built their new town. What do you mean, supposed to be? The Rudans are an ornery lot, and the more these new neighbors met, the more they argued. They realized they didn't agree on much besides ousting the old lord. The biggest divide was over the Glanfatans and their nearby ruins. Hadred's knights and their supporters wanted to keep the peace, but a group of misfits with more anarchic leagues that had formed in town wanted to go after the tribes the same way we'd gone after their lord. Soon the villagers were fighting with each other as much as with the Aedirans. In the end, memories of the broken stone war and the warble of black trees were fresh enough that the Duke's soldier won the day. Most of the other villagers came around eventually, but some of the core troublemakers left to join the front lines of the War of Defiance, and others, I've heard, found their way into the Guided Compass, the most forward-looking of the Glenfathan tribes. I don't know if I believe that part myself, but it makes a good story. She points to the east wall. There's a portrait of one of the chief rebel rousers and his rival in the peacekeeping faction. Someone's idea of a joke. I don't think they were particularly amused. I want to hear more about Broken Stone War. That was the first major conflict between the original Ediran settlers and the Glenfattans. Happened 3 years into colonization when some farmers knocked over an Adra menhir that was part of Angwitan ruin. The war didn't last long, but it spread quickly and claimed thousands. In the early weeks, most of the colonists didn't even realize that was a war going on until the Glenfathan raiders hit their villages. There'd been small spontaneous skirmishes between the colonists and the local before then, but this was organized, and it was the start of the decades of violence between the colonists and the Glenfathans. As you can see, Deerwood's full of history, even in the little villages like this. Tell me about the War of Black Trees. It started back in the colonial days, almost 30 years after the Broken Stone War. Even though isolated conflicts still broke out between the settlers and the Glenfathans, both sides had officially agreed to peace. Edrang Hadret, Admet's father, was grave at the time. As part of peace negotiations, he'd signed treaties prohibiting Adrian colonies from looting Envid and ruins. However, he'd been unable to outlaw the use of captured Glenfathans as slaves. What's a grave? A grave is the governor of a colony and is subservient to the Adrian emperor. The early leaders of the Adar colony in the Dyrwood, including Edrang and Admet Hadret, were Graves. At the start of the War of Defiance, Admet Hadret declared himself Duke of an independent Dyrwood rather than Grave of the Emperor's colony. It was the same term used for leaders of the newly independent Valian republics. Anyway, we hadn't had a Grave since. I see. Indeed, the talking on Glenfathan slaves had continued to be a source of conflict it came to a head when Imperial agents, aided by certain elves in the Dyrwood, began looting the ruins again. See, the Emperor had never actually agreed to Hadret's treaties on the matter, and the recent secession of the Wayland republics likely left them eager to weaken Hadret's position. The looting sparked a brutal slave uprising and guerrilla campaign among the Glenfathans. Drang Hadret was too old to lead forces into battle, and so he sends his son Admet. Admet made a costly but effective decision that ended the war faster than anyone could have imagined. He burned the forest near the Isse Yen River to keep the Glenfathan warbands from retreating. Thousands of Glenfathans died, and as Admet repeated his scorched earth tactics in the following months, he wore down the remainder of their forces. To this day, over 150 years later, there are still sections of the Dyrwood where the trees are nothing but bare, charred trunks. Farewell.
Hail, traveler.
Back to hear about the founding of the inn? Perhaps another time.
Yes?
If secrets whisper here, I shall listen for them.
Heavy sweet perfumes emanates from the barrels. The stave joints are stained dark brown and dull purple. What are you doing in the kitchen? Dangler will get you sorted out with food and drink. And I think we will need one more food. To be honest, I've forgotten which I have already crafted. Let's do the jerky. That's what I was trying to achieve. Good. Let's talk to Dangler now.
Hail, traveler!
The innkeeper digs inside the mug with a dirty rag. His eyes under his thick brows are tired but watchful. He gives you a quick nod as you approach the bar. Don't see many travelers these days. Something I can do for you? What was your exchange with that nobleman about? He looks up from polishing his tankard and glowers at the lord. Folks around here's decent. They mind their own business. You want to stick your nose in it? Go tell to him yourself. I have questions about Dyrford. He runs his rug around the rim of the mug. Ask. Have you seen an Orlan named called Nifre? I take it you're a friend of hers. He jerks his head on at the stairs. Witchy lady, that one. Tell me about the village. Walk from one bridge to the next and you've seen it. We're quite hard-working folk. We keep to ourselves and don't take to being pushed around. He glares at the well-dressed man standing off to the side. Used to be a castle here, built by some family of Edirant Thanes back when the Empire first came. Only one tower is still standing, and it's part of Trigel's shop now. Sit that bard by the fire could spin you the yarn if you're so inclined. Who lives in Dyrford? Not many anymore. Hard to keep people around when everyone's here birthing Hollowborn. But we got a few who stick around and do business. Trigels, the leather courier, Handina, craft potions, and Winfried trades in the general goods. Rumbel's a pig farmer, or was anyway. Tell me about Trigel. He's a courier, trades leather and makes armor and few other goods with it. Problem is, he smells of tallow and deer shit tends to put people off their food, and his shop's right next door. What's Handina's story? Lady's a clever hand with potion and poultices. Got herself into trouble with a nest of worms, or so I hear. Her cart's on the east end of town. And Winfried? Been around even longer than I have. Nice enough fellow, but never could find his way to the end of a sentence. His shop's across the square. Something happened to Rumble's pigs, I take it. Damn ogre carried them off. No, he squeals more than his word ever did. He shrugs. It's rotten luck. Now let's go back to my previous questions about Dyrford. He runs his rag around the rim of the map. Ask. You said you don't see many travelers. Course not. Why would they come here? We got bandits on the road and an ogre in the forest. That, as the yapping fool Rumbelt tell you. Worse yet, hasn't been a healthy child born here in over a year. Most kid that come here is just passing through. About that ogre. You don't hardly see 'em this close to town. Ogres and kids don't mix well. Ugly bastards, but they're smart enough to know that much. You want to know more? Talk to Rumbelt. His farm's southwest of here. Never mind, I want to talk about something else. I want you to order food and drinks. Dexterity and damage reduction burn. Interesting. Okay. Let's see the way upstairs where the owner hinted the Orlan we are trying to find. This colder hatter looks as old as the inn. Its leathery skin is cracked and bleached from years of exposure.
Quiet.
This painting depicts a forested ravine somewhere in the living lands. Who's coming up the stairs? It's not him, don't worry. This painting portrays the expansive food hills below the mountains of White March.
What have we here?
Guildmaster stuff. The glass of this window is broken. Warped knotted planks have been nailed over it. Let's see what we have here. Very long. Reach. Ah, but that's almost the same. And this is interesting. Good. Oh, I messed up. That's how I need it.
I can get it to spill its secrets. I can get it to spill its secrets. It's done.
Let's go for Nifra.
I'm on the trail.
The Oron hovers by the window, peering out out of it every few seconds. As you enter the room, she watches you carefully, her hand hovering over her stiletto. She cranes her head to peer behind you. Anyone follow you? Who sent you? Someone told me you were responsible for Haino's killings at Defiance Bay. Let me guess, was that someone named Medreth? She draws her stiletto. It's a lie, plain and simple. I got on the wrong side of his employers, and now he's after me. But if you're here to do his dirty work, I won't make it easy on you. Relax, I just want to hear your side of the story. What story? The Demians came after me. I just happened to rob the wrong place. How was I supposed to know they'd already claimed it? She runs her hand under her hood and through her hair. It was an honest mistake. I'm just trying to survive now, and if you spoke with Medreth, you know where he's waiting. Please, help me get out of here. Go east. Medreth's waiting for you just west of the river. She nods slowly. All right, I'm trusting you. Don't have much choice. See if you can send him the other way. That should buy me some more time. She follows the hooded figures towards the stair, giving a final, uncertain glance as she passes through the door. I told Nyfer where Medred was waiting, and she gave him the slip. As a final favor, she asked me to send him off in another direction to buy her more time. I met Nyfer upstairs at the Rakugan Inn. She admitted that she was on the run, but she didn't sound like the monster Medred subscribed. I haven't sent her to Medred or warned her away yet.
I'll stay out of sight.
Ready, Watcher.
What's on your mind? Let's move on.
Need something?
Let's talk to Hiravias first.
As a peripatetic loner, I'm not privy to the latest news, but the Hollowborn Children is a tale that has reached even my reclusive ears. Or, rather, ear.
What do the Glanfatandurans think of this plight?
It's been a long time since I've spoken with my circle. They'd probably tell you what I'd tell you. This plight was most certainly the consequence of someone trespassing into Nguithan places, not meant for folk. I mean, what else other than the gods could inflict punishment of such impressive scale?
What are your thoughts on the Hollowborn?
Anytime a life is separated from its soul, I wanted to pretend it was just a rumor when I first heard of it. In my youth, I'd cursed the dear Woodens for being ignorant despoilers that breed out of control. But soulless babies? What heartless gods would inflict that kind of tragedy? No parent or child deserves to be a part of that horror.
Let's talk of other matters.
Need something?
He asked with a raised eyebrow. Tell me about yourself.
My second favorite subject.
He runs his finger through his scalp, preening his fur.
What would you like to know?
How did you come to be trained as a druid? Hiravias thumped his half-shredded ear and thinks to himself for several seconds. It wasn't entirely by choice, not at the start at least. My ambition was to be a hunter. I merely arrived by a different trial. As a child, an empath came to visit. An honored guest is occasion for a grand chase, but I was left out, instructed instead to be cupbearer for the old wise, and while the rest were on hunt. I'm sure you can guess what happens. Wise Anamfath gives dumb child a shred of attention. We ended up talking until the hunters returned. He gave me his hands, dart across his body, scouring the pockets and folds of his tunic. This. He presents a rusted iron medallion fashioned in the likeness of a hound's head, a common icon among the frontiersmen, explorers, and other seekers faithful to Gallowayne. The Anamfan insisted I be trained, and none in my village would defy him. Now, he smiles broadly, I don't need a bow to hunt. Where are you from originally?
My mother's crotch. You?
What a coincidence. I also came from your mother's crotch.
For the record, only I'm allowed to insult my mother. But I respect your dedication to banter, so I'll let it slide. This time. I grew up in Glonfoth, specifically in and around Thane Bog. My people, the Fisher Crane tribe, are migrant stewards of the land. I've walked the whole of Glonfoth many times.
What's the story behind the symbol of whale on your eye patch? Well, it's known as the eyeless face, so his symbol seemed a good fit for my eye patch. He absent-mindedly runs his finger along the strap of the patch band. Well, iconography is rather popular in my home tribe, but it seems he is not as widely venerated here in the Dyrford. I remember thinking that if I consecrated my eye to he who obfuscates and reveals, then maybe with enough devotion, well, would make use of old ruined thing. He pulls on the eye patch strap and lets it go with a loud snap. So, if you think you see me staring at drums and cleavage, it's really just the whale controlling my gaze. Honest. What's your relationship with Gallowayne? I was raised as a disciple of the Seeker God. He is the champion of the hunt, be it the simple struggle for sustenance or the scholarly pursuit of the knowledge. In my older years, I found he cuts himself off, shakes his head, and starts again. Life has shown me I am more suited to the ways of well. The furious hunt for knowledge often outpaces the journey to real understanding. Druids are known for changing into animals. What sort of creature can you become? He takes a half step backward as you ask a question. All sorts of things, he sighs quietly with a long, uncomfortable gaze. Hiraves stares at you blankly, arms folded. Let's discuss something else. Any man with your scars has a story to tell. I'm just going to ask you later if you don't tell me now.
Yes, I suppose you should know. I struggled with spirit shifting, the final rite of passage in my druidic training. I prayed to Gallowayne for insight and, in the style of seekers of old, went to the forest, alone, to ask for guidance. Then I got my answer, an answer at least, in the form of a vibrantly colored Stelgar that pounced from the underbrush and made a salient demonstration of its capacity to eat things 1/15 its size.
You're alive today, so how did you fend off the beast?
Fend it off. I ripped off its arm and sent it running. As the beast was lopping off bits of my handsomeness, I remember trying to fight back, swinging with arms too short to reach. I felt I had the energy for one last swipe at the beast's nose, and when I lashed out with a punch, my arm felt twice as massive, and my fingers sprouted talons. In a rush of power, I shifted into a mirror of my assailant. Apparently, he couldn't pick on someone his own size. By the battle's end, his severed arm was in my maw. The beast limped away in defeat.
That's quite an impressive tale. I thought learning to spirit shift would win me some respect. Maybe trap myself and Adrian less with a lust for a little man. Alas, I might have been better off staying a novice. When I wandered back to my village, they saw my wounds and asked what happened. I showed them. The name they called my form was the Autumn Stelgar, and his mouth opens, but he hesitates for a long moment before choosing his words. They were not impressed. The Rio of my circle believed the Autumn Stelgar to be a heinous abomination. It is said that if it eats you, your soul is invariably lost. As this was my first and most intuitive form, they deemed me a carrier of its evil. Even though I never so much as threatened my kin, I was ruled unfit and cast out. Hiravia sighs, scratching his scarred face. I don't know what message Gilavain was trying to send. The only lesson I learned was that the Seeker God will punish you for seeking. You didn't choose your spirit shifting form? No, he says with a huff. It chose me, or so I imagine. I always assumed I would shift into a stoat. Seems more true to my nature. He points to the embossed pattern of well in his eye patch, as the obscured teaches. When the answer is inscrutable, one must be content to put the question. So you're some sort of soul cannibal? Hirave stares at you with a frown before covering his face in his hands. No, he mutters. At least I think not. I've never actually sat down and eaten an entire person to find out. I'm not that curious to find out. Were you at least recognized as a proper druid? His brow furrows. No, but I know I passed an initiation rite 5 times more perilous than any of those kin betrayers that insisted I was a failure. Can you learn to spirit shift into something less terrifying? Already can and sometimes do, he says with a beaming smile that quickly returns to a scowl, but the druids of my circle assign great meaning to one's first form. I'll always be unclean to them. Thank you for sharing your story.
Well, if you don't know me, you can't trust me. And if you can't trust me, odds are low you'll leap in front of a flying arrow to save my life. I've been meaning to visit the Druids of Twin Elms to see if they know more about my spirit shift. If our journey takes us there, perhaps they can enlighten me with more information about the Autumn Stelgar. But for now, maybe we can talk about something less depressing?
I want to hear more about Galavant and, well... He stares at you blankly with his one eye. Oh, not sure what more there is to say on the subject, unless you are itching for a religious debate. Tell me more about your thoughts on Vale. I came to know Vale in earnest in the first year of my exile. I asked myself why Gilavain would punish me for asking questions. What just and fair God would punish me for doing as he asks? Questioning why I had been mauled just drove me mad. At the height of my worry, I would have dreams where I only saw with my injured eye. My healthy eye became blind in my dreams. He lifts up the eye patch to gently itch at the socket. You catch a quick glimpse of a puckered and scarred abscess under the well-embroidered patch. So, one afternoon I stitch a stylized eye motif on the patch. I like to think of it as my self-initiation right into the Brotherhood of Whale. Whale is not an instructive or overbeating deity. He does not freely dispense wisdom and expects all of us to question and explore with our own minds. Whale reminds me the curiosity is being receptive to any and all truth, not hunting for anyone elsewhere. Does praying to Will help make sense of the Stelgar attack? He face turns flush and he laughs nervously. In a fashion, yes. Praying to the eyeless face means letting go of the fear of not knowing, the fear of not having any answers. Some days it can be challenging to embrace uncertainty, but at least Well does not demand celibacy. Let's speak of something else. I want to hear more about Galawain and Vale. What more can you tell me about Galawain? A frown overcomes his face as he ponders your question. Consider it a love's devotion. I will always respect the Sikh god, but he visited ruination on me when I all thought was knowledge, just as he thought it should be. He meshes his fingers together and flexes his digits until the joint pops and click. Gillavain left his mark on me. When I see my shifted reflection, I am reminded of his presence. Gillavain still inspires my fear, just not my worship. Do you think there's any possibility that Gillavain is trying to help you, albeit in strange ways? I suppose that maybe. His one eye squints and his face contorts into a frown. Certainly, there's the chance Gillavain was trying to help by making me blind and deaf to everything on my right side. But put yourself in my paws. Do I then go back and commune in the woods to him again and invite another attack? It would be a suicidal leap of faith to ever go asking Gillavain for anything. He spits on the ground. Anything. Let's speak of something else. Let's speak of something else. On second thought, some other time. Hirvis shrugs. Your loss. My traveling companion Hirvis has indicated a desire to speak with the druids that live in and around Twin Elms. Hiravias is no longer welcome in his own tribe due to their fear of his spirit form, the Autumn Stelgar. He would welcome the insight of druids from other traditions, preferably traditions that do not have such a hostile reaction to the creature. Hiravias revealed that he was cast out of his circle because they considered his spirit shift form, the Autumn Stelgar, an abomination. He wants to learn more about it and feels that there may be a droid in 12 Elms who would know more.
Certainly.
And one last person to talk to. The guard keeps his eyes on the door. If you have information about Lady Ailys, you should speak with Lord Herond. The man wears Adair-style robes. Simple but elegant. His fine leather shoes look like they were made for padding around indoors, yet they're caked with mud. He yanks at a lock of hair twined around his silk-glowed finger. His fine features are etched with anxiety.
My child is out there. Do they not understand?
My lord, we're doing everything we can. Unfortunately,
These villagers.
Beasts take them all. I don't care how you do it, but find her!
I heard you are going with the innkeeper.
A petty, small-minded man. Just like the rest of them around here. I've been paying him an honest fee for board and bed, and yet he can't be bothered to stir himself to concern for my Alice.
Actually, he seemed angry at you.
People from these backwater villages take offense for sport. You have to but show up with a full coin purse, and they'll hear insults in the jingle of your step. They forget that Duke Hadret came from the privileged classes, as did all of the other earls and lords who financed the rebellion they're so proud of. I've asked around, but nobody in this mud hole has any concerns beyond their swine. They turn my men away like beggars and seem downright pleased to be of no use. But you're not one of my soldiers. And you look like you're used to getting your hands dirty, if you don't mind my saying so.
His guards leans in. My lord, I... Halnord raises a hand to silence the man. If you find her, he nibbles the thumb of one silk glove. Tell her I won't be upset with her. She can come back and all will be well. I just want to make sure my Alice, my child, is safe. Nothing in the world is more important to me. I'd like to ask a few questions about your daughter.
Alice. Of course.
Describe Lady Alice. She is a striking young woman, bears more resemblance to her mother than to me. She has auburn hair and delicate, well-bred features. She must be, 28 or 29 now. Tell me about her disappearance. We stopped in Dyrford for a few days. On our fourth evening here, I was making plans to continue our journey. Lady Alice was feeling unwell and went to bed. When I retired a couple hours later, I found that she had vanished. None of my men had seen her go, and no one at the inn knew where she was. Since then, my people have been combining the village, but we've yet to find a clue, and the locals have been no help. Why did you and Alice come to Dyrford? It was merely a stop along the way to Aina's Rest. However, she took ill shortly before our arrival, so it seemed prudent to allow her a few days to recover. What's in Aina's Rest? He frowns as if about to protest, but he gives in with a sigh. Lady Alice has reached an age where it is prudent for her to marry. Given it is a legacy business, I can't let her fertile years slip by, nor do I want her womb to fester in the presence of so many hollowborns. It seemed there would be more potential suitors in New Homar or New Yarma. You think I haven't considered that? Arranging a suitable match is difficult. The best prospects for my child lay in Aina's Rest. Where's the rest of your family? Surely they wouldn't want to miss your daughter's betrothal. Lady Arons is ill-suited for travel, I'm afraid, and unfortunately Alice has few other close relatives. My sister and her husband, Alice, aunt and uncle, of course, have been visiting Adir this past month. He rubs his knuckles. And as for siblings, Alice has none. My wife has only given birth to Hollowborn since Alice, that is. I see, but going back to your daughter. What about her? Let's go back to my previous questions. Tell me about yourself.
I'm Lord Nestor Harrand of Defiance Bay. My family has been prominent there since Imperial times. Our primary estate is on the outskirts of Brackenbury, but we have holdings in New Heomar as well. Those went to my sister and her husband.
Goodbye. Lord Haron has not seen Lady Alice in days now, and it seems the villagers of Dyrford have not been much help. Still, I may be able to learn something useful by asking around.
Oh?
Let's ask then.
Gods keep you.
He grunts in greeting. Still on your feet, eh? Tell me about Lord Harron's daughter. He frowns and shrugs. His lordship says she up and went missing the other day. He wipes a tankard with his erect towel, twisting with shift, jerking motions. I don't know any more than that. However, these lording bastards handle their affairs. Ain't no business of mine. You look agitated. Something about this doesn't sit right with you, does it? He slams the clean tankard down on the bar. Damn right it don't. That lord saunters in here like he's cut from cleaner cloth than the rest of us, and yet... He shakes his head. Look, I don't want no trouble from you or him or anybody else. I'm just waiting for him to tire of my ale and leave so things can get back to normal around here. I won't stand by and allow an innocent girl to come to harm. Help me find her. He leans on the bar and sighs. That girl, Alice. She was looking to disappear. You should have seen her, watching the door like a sheep at slaughter. All the same, she didn't hardly speak to no one. Only folk I've seen her talks to is dear Jill. Try Jill. He nods at the east window. His shop's by the broken tower. A bit of hothead, that one. My advice is to let the matter drop. Like I say, I don't profit to dig around in other people's business. I understand, Dangler. Farewell. Dangler explained that Ellis has become acquainted with Trigel, the local courier. His shop is the one in the broken tower.
How do you do?
Perhaps another time.
To whispers and shadows.
So, do you have feathers everywhere?
It's Josie.
You know, does your tiara match your tail feathers?
We're about to find out if your viscera match your fur.
Forget I said anything. I rather value my viscera.
Funny. Like I said, Trigel handles customers. Around here, I just handle dice. He wipes a splotch of dye from his elbow with his shear tail. Something else you need? What can you tell me about Alice Harront? He shrugs. Only that her father's men have been banging down doors and stirring up trouble looking for her. I never met her myself. That's strange. Dangle told me you two were acquainted. He watches you and smiles slowly. He doesn't miss much. What exactly did he tell you? He said she was looking for an escape. Her father's dragged her out here to get hitched to some backwoods noble. She wanted an escape, alright, and I was happy to give it to her. We snuck across the river a few nights ago for some private time. Come to find out, we weren't exactly alone. An ogre taller than Winfried's tails, sprung out of the forests, and we were so lost in the heat of the moment we didn't notice it until it was upon us. It grabbed Alice and disappeared into the night before I could even pull my breeches up. Don't take this the wrong way, but this shop smells like an outhouse. Am I really to believe that a lord's daughter snuck into the woods with you? Dragil hands drop to his legs. Watch it. That's the first time I've heard an Orlan complain about anyone's smell. I meant no offense. I'm just trying to find her. His eyes narrow. As I was saying, the ogre vanished with her. Probably took her to its lair, wherever that is. He measures you with his gaze. She could still be alive. I'm in no shape to go after her, but that Haront looks like he'd have coppers to spare for anyone who found her. He scratches his cheek with fingers stained red and yellow. Others around here have seen the ogre east of town. Took most of Rumble's pigs just the other day. If someone were to find it, there'd be a lot of grateful people in Dyrford. Leave. Drygil climbs that an ogre took Alice somewhere near the Bale River, east of Dyrford. While I had a hard time believing she snuck away with him, there may be still some clues in the wilderness.
Oh?
Certainly.
Now, let's go to talk with the House Dominal as heads. If you find Lady Alice, escort her to the Dragon Inn with all ease, with all haste.
Hello.
He picks at a long blade of grass. Found knife yet? I'm ready to get out of here. She snuck out the back of the inn and went north. He squints at you, pulling the grass into two flimsy threads. Did she now? And how would you have known that? I was just hoping you'd believe me. Medred drones his blade. Don't worry, I'll catch up to her right after I take care of you.
I'm ready. I told Dyrford where Medred was waiting. I told Dyrford where Medred's waiting. Blah 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 blah. It's finished.
Oh?
Okay, let's give her a little bit better armor, or not. Hmm. Nope. Maybe later. So, the next place to go is Dyrford Crossing, where probably will be the Ogress lair.
I'll take a look.
Let's search around a little bit.
Yeah?
And what does the flame reveal?
Let's go to the south first.
And what does the flame reveal?
Well, we'll go there a little bit later.
Sharp eyes and keen ears.
And we unlocked the Clearban Relax area. But let's go over the stony bridge first.
Slowly now.
Broken statue. And Xorips. There's the priest.
If secrets whisper here, I shall listen for them.
Certainly.
Another place to... two more places. So... check the statue. You stand within what looks to be a ruined shrine. The moss-covered remnant of an ancient statue lies before you. Examine the statue. Only the broken legs and feet of the sculpture remain. Long grooves alongside it suggest that it could be moved. Near the base of the statue, you discover a skull carved into the stone. Examine the skull. A skull is carved into the stone in intricate relief, its mouth agape. Peering closely, you notice a rusty keyhole between its jaws. Pick the lock. Mammalian pushes several tumblers into positions with a series of rusty clicks and squeals. Suddenly, the ruined statue begins to move. The displaced pedestal reveals a dark passage descending into the earth.
Where do you suppose this leads?
Yes?
We'll see about that, but first let's go to the south. No way to go to the south yet. Oh.
What have we here?
Rolling flame.
Hi.
Oh, the wolf. Let's see. And you did right, and let's see what for spells have you.
You can trust Moe.
Be cautious. Be constant.
Looks like I completely missed this one. Crossing.
I'll take a look. If secrets whisper here, I shall listen for them.
And our ranger has a level up.
Ready, Watcher.
So let's see what new skill we can have. That's interesting, but not for melee ranger.
Let's just play that.
Sure.
Oh?
This looks like the ogre lair.
Now here's something.
Grizzly cave. Ring of deflection. I think I give it to the grieving mother. A little bit more useful. Yeah, let's check the cave. I found a cave east of the Bell River. It smells like corpse rot. Something hungry must live in here. Let's see.
Mow it.
Oops. Let's tank them a little bit. And another detonation.
Yes?
Be cautious. Be constant.
Certainly.
Let us end this!
Oh, yeah. Kill 5 blights or kill 25 enemies with the greenstone stuff.
Need something?
Oh?
Eyes open.
Thick webs ripple and the cavern breeze. Mummified remains are tangled within them. We will go outside with this at a later time.
They shall see nothing while I see much.
Spider Queen. I see.
Always on kill.
To whispers and shadows.
That's it.
I'll stay out of sight.
I'm going to guess that whatever lives here gets very, very hungry.
Two bears.
Skulls and bones from an assortment of kith and beasts litter the cavern. They've been crushed, scored, gnawed, and punctured by something with fangs as thick as an Awawa finger. Oh, here it comes. As you advance into the darkness, the ground begins to tremble. You hear plodding footfalls, growling breath, and bone-snapping crunches. An ogre steps out of the shadow, then 10 feet tall and bulging with muscle. He tears a mouthful from a hoofed pink-fleshed limb and tosses it aside. He watches you from under the thick ridge of his brows, too well equipped to be a villager, abandoned from the road must be. The ogre snorts and tightens his grips around a club. I kept to myself, killed no one but the fools reckless enough to chase me down here. Why have you come looking for me? If you've been minding your own business, how did all these bones get here? He grins his teeth with impatience. Spiders got most of them. The rest blundered in here looking for trouble. What are you doing in this cave? Hiding from your kind, he scratches a tusk, glaring at you. Kids driven from their homes by strange storm, bandits out of blood and coin. My kind is unsafe around Kith at the best of times, but now tempers run hot and ogre blood is valued among your alchemists. His fingers flex around his club. The only reason you'd hold up in a spider-infested cave is if you really feared something out there. He smashes his club into the ground. I told you, the kids on the road these days hunger for anything they can eat or sell. I wouldn't last a week wandering the open, not by myself. He clutches his club with both hands and draws it closer. And you seem sensible enough to understand that now that you found me here, I can't let you leave. This place isn't safe. Even if you kill me, it's only a matter of time before someone else finds you. He grits his teeth and glares at you, his eyes hard and narrow with rage. Kograk takes several heaving breaths, seemingly ready to charge at any second. Finally, he drops his club. That's what I was afraid of. He sighs, blasting you with his fetid breath. Time to move on then. I have a stronghold in Kednua. Help me defend it, and you can stay as long as you'd like. Sell my services for the shelter of a fortress? Sounds like another kind of trouble, but perhaps one I can handle. He begins shuffling back into the shadows. If you need me, you'll know where to find me. I'll leave Dyrford alone for now. Before I go, I need to ask you about a missing noblewoman. I've done my best to avoid Kith, especially the kind that might give rise to search parties. No, I haven't seen her. Thanks for the information. Now that I've dealt with the ogre, I can return to Dyrford and Farmer Rumbald. I offered Korgak a position at my stronghold. He seemed interested in the idea. I could probably hire him if I really wanted to. Kograk the ogre denied that he'd eaten Alice. I don't suppose he has anything to hide, but perhaps Strigil does.
If secrets whisper here, I shall listen for them.
We may have an understanding, but I promise nothing for anyone else who enters in here. Oh.
Yeah.
A belt and a scroll. Let's see what that kind of belt is. Interesting. This might be good for our Sagani. Time to go out.
Slowly now.
Scan cultist robes. What is this? Tethered node and scan initiates hood. The node is bloodstained and torn, and the edges are smudged with some kind of pigment. From the scraps they are legible. You can make out hastily written instructions. To avoid the entrance and the tower, traffic through my shop would attract the attention. Dyrford may be sympathetic to our goals, but they wouldn't approve of a temple. Yet. Key to the entrance by the river east of town, but be careful on the road. Reports of these days. While exploring a cave just east of Bale River, I found a corpse carrying a note and skull-handled key. The note mentioned a secret temple of some sort, with an entrance near the river and another in tower behind a shop. Please note, the note was stained with splotches of some kind of pigment and cyanide tea. So probably that was the key for this temple.
Silence surrounds me.
Okay, let's go back inside. But not much. Let's go back.
I'll stay out of sight.
Worms. A lot of them. Now, let's talk to the Elfia first. Or not. A man turns to face you, wiping blood from his estoc. His knit brows betrayed a moment of confusion, but as he watches you, a slow, confident smile creeps over his face. The Iron Brand does not meet many travelers this far from the road. What would they be doing out here? An elven man cocks his head at the other, probably after that dragon egg, same as us, boss. A dwarf curses and spits into the grass. It's a rhetorical question, you dimwit. He tightens his grip on his sword. Everyone knows the roads between the villages and crawling wild brigands. They're obviously bandits, same as us. Why would you want a dragon egg? He laughs. To sell it, of course. If I wanted to eat it, I would have grabbed some pigs from that farm in Dyrford too. What do you know about the dragon eggs? He shrugs. They are round and large, and they come from dragons and drakes. What else is there to know? Only that drakes mark their eggs, so you'd better hope you sold it to the next poor sod before the mother comes looking for it. The other bandits whisper amongst each other. The leader holds it up his hand. Quite. You can seriously believe this, and even if it's true, we'll sell it before that happens. I'm not taking any chances with the drakes. Say what you want. I'm out. She hurries off. Let her go. That just means a bigger cut for us. Everyone against the druid. Let's see. Stun him.
I'm ready. My mind feels sharp as steel.
Oh?
Need something?
Yes?
Exceptional stock, fine breastplate, fine. Fine, fine, fine. Staghelm. Let's see what does the Staghelm do. +2 athletics, 1 dexterity, and immunity to stuck. This is exactly something which druid would use.
Yes?
My thoughts will be as silent as my feet.
Now there is the egg. We'll go there in a second. Let's clear it here first.
My thoughts will be as silent as my feet.
Silence surrounds me.
Forest lurker. 2 of them. And Pogra. 3 of them. So let's done. And
Yes?
bubble her.
My wounds remember.
Sharp eyes and keen ears.
Certainly.
Another boots. Let's see them. Who has the worst athletics? 2. Let's give it to Grieving Mother. We'll see.
And what does the flame reveal?
I'll take a look.
Margaren's fire casts light in dark places.
And other worms. Or more worms. Let's clear her. Looks like that's it.
Sharp eyes and keen ears.
Let's go for the Dragon Eye. Not Dragon Eye, Dragon Egg. The cliff face is blackened and melted like candle wax. There's a small outcropping overhead with what appears to be a crude nest. It looks like a challenging climb. Scale the cliff. You take another look at the cliff. There may be only be space for one person at the top. Send no one and use grappling hook to the outcropping. You toss the grappling hook over the ledge, holding the attached rope with one hand. The hook lands with a satisfying clank and you secure the line with a firm tug. Climb the rope. You take another look at the cliff. There may be only space for one person at the top. Let's go with Hiravias. The rope makes a quick ascent. Hiravias climbs to the nest in the cliff with ease. The nest is surrounded by glowing embers. Twigs and bones litter the area. An egg, the size of a small cake, is nestled among the detritus. It looks heavy and awkward to carry. Secure the egg with the rope and lower it. Hiravias ties a rope around the egg. Hiravias lowers the egg with slow, steady motions. Once the prize has reached the bottom and settled into the dirt, Hiravias safely climbs down the cliff. I got egged down the cliff without a scratch, and Dina should be able to get a lot of use out of it. So, before going back to the village, we will be checking this temple inside. And
I'm ready.
right before that, let's heal a little bit our other cipher. So, it will be it for today. As always, thank you very much for watching and enjoy the rest of your day. See you soon, and if you enjoyed to watch, feel free to follow my Twitch or Mixer channels and subscribe to my YouTube. See you!